What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Grit. And I've been looking forward to this one. I am excited. I have Adam Powell in the studio today, and I don't know. I know Adam's story because I was introduced to him and I got to do a little bit of research, but I have not sat and had a one-on-one conversation with Adam. So I'm super excited to get into his extremely inspirational story. And I was introduced to him by Noreen Owens, and that's another name. You know, she's been introducing us to a ton of awesome people. She was on a few months ago. The episode came out, a really incredible episode in itself. But since then, she just keeps telling all of her amazing friends and connections about they need to come on the show. And I super appreciate you, Noreen. You are a difference maker, so I appreciate it. And Adam, welcome into Loudmouth Studio.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And Noreen, big shout out to her. Like we just talked about, I did a tattoo photo shoot with her. I randomly found her on Instagram, and that's how we got together.
Because it's so cool because she reached out to me when she was going to do the tattoo photo shoots, and she was like, "Hey, would you be a model for me?" And I'm like, I almost felt guilty because I'm not as coolly tattooed as you. Like I've got like, some, but I'm like, I'm not probably your model, but like I would love to come and show off my tattoos. And so I did it. Okay. But like, you're the guy she was looking for.
I'm pretty covered. Yeah, I have a lot of tattoos.
So so you ended up meeting her just doing the tattoo
just
shoot?
Doing that. And when we were taking the photos, and we just kind of got to talking about my story, and she thought it was inspirational, and then all of a sudden I get an email that connects the two of us, and now here I am.
And so that's how it works.
It's crazy how it works. Just that quickly.
It's crazy. How long have you been doing the speaking and everything?
Within mainly the last 2-3 years, I've done a lot of podcasts, but just in this last year and a half, I've actually started to like travel and go and talk in spaces like that. Like I did one in Fargo in April, and then Louisville in May. And then last year I did a single one actually up in Owasso, Baker College. I did one up there at Baker College in Owasso last year. So this one that's new is like actually going out and traveling is new for me, but I love it. And I would love to do more of it.
So I'm super excited to dive in, obviously, with your story. So you diagnosed with MS, have MS. Yep. At what point in your, kind of dive into your story?
All right, we'll get to it. So it was October of 2018. Little backstory. I used to work for UPS. I was an on-road supervisor, so I was a driver's boss. I was an athlete. I played every sport there was. I workaholic. I'm a big guy now, but back then I was 6'5", but I was like 240, 250 and just muscle and just big, strong guy. And that summer of 18, me, my brother-in-law, and my great family friend, Dave, who was in his 70s at the time, the three of us put a roof on his house in two weekends. That was the guy I was. October comes around and I just start having these weird pains in my feet. And I write them off because I just got new boots. And I was like, whatever, that's what it is. Christmas comes around and my legs are feeling extra cold and weird. And I just say to myself, of course they are, because I work for UPS. I was outside 12 hours every day. Of course my legs are going to feel cold. Christmas was when it really hit me. I thought I had a hernia. And I've never had a hernia before, but it was like my lower abdominal region, groin, and then my lower back felt like I had a vice grip on it. So that was what actually finally got me to go to the doctor, because I was like, something is wrong. I don't know what it is. It's probably a hernia. I was trying to get set up for, having some hernia surgery, all that stuff. Went to a hernia specialist. He said, it's not a hernia. It's a quote unquote sports hernia, which is still a term that I've never heard of before. I don't know how it can be not a hernia, but it's a sports hernia. But anyways, he sent me to physical therapy. So I started going physical therapy. That helped me out with my groin pain, my back pain. But while I was at therapy, I kept complaining about my balance and my numbness and my feet being weird and not being able to stand on one foot and not being able to stand on the balance beam and just weird stuff that I've never noticed before, all stuff that I've always been able to do. And so now we're in about March-ish, my physical therapist says, you might need to go back to your primary and go see a neurologist. And I was like, why? What would I need to do that for? Because originally I thought it was a pinched nerve.
Yeah.
That was what my first thought was, I pinched a nerve in my back. And once we got all that corrected and my back was starting to feel better, I still had all the numbness. So she said, I should probably go see a neurologist. And I asked her why. And she said, because you might have MS. And my immediate question to her was, what's that? I had no idea. I didn't have a clue what MS was. I didn't know anybody with it. I had heard of one of my friends' dads had it, but that was it. That was the extent of my knowledge. And so I did. I went to my primary, went to a neurologist, and then that was April, and by June I was diagnosed. So June 2019, I was diagnosed. Primary progressive MS too, the bad kind, the worst kind you can have.
They're like, congratulations, you got the worst kind.
Go big or go home, I went big, and so that's how it came about, and that was how fast it was. And by that point, I was still able to walk. I took myself off the road in January because I couldn't walk that much anymore. I would just start sinking. My legs just would not keep me upright anymore. So as soon as I got diagnosed, I was off. That was it. Like my career was done. My career ended at 37 years old, and I was just done. And trying to navigate all of that and figure out what to do, how to live, how to have insurance, how to make money, how to finagle the insurance, long-term disability, short-term disability, it was just a disaster because I had to focus more on that than actually what was happening to my own body, which I didn't know what was going on.
Well, that's what I'm thinking about as you're talking about that, is like you have to navigate all this drastic change. I mean, just even thinking about you were always big, strong, athletic, you can do all these things, and now your body's failing you, right? Out of work, can't drive, all these different things. But then on top of it, you're, navigating your new normal.
Right. Yeah. And that was just the start of it too. So I'm navigating it. My first neurologist sucked, and I fired him quickly. The one thing he did right was he diagnosed me correctly. He had primary progressive MS, and he had plans to get me on medication to help me and do all that stuff, but that's all they were plans. So I got rid of him. I finally got into the University of Michigan. I got a good neurologist there. So that was a quick transition, but the damage had already been done. So like I said, at that time I was still walking. I'd use a cane sometimes, but I was still able to walk. So we'll fast forward here to November now. So it's finally November. I'm still trying to figure out what to do, how to know what my benefits are, because my short-term disability is about to expire, which is going to switch me to long-term disability. So I don't know any of this stuff because I've never had to use it before.
Because you're 37
I've
years old.
I've always worked. I've never missed work. I've never had to use insurance before. I never went to the doctors before. Like, this is all brand new stuff to me. So I'm sitting here trying to log into my my little resource center through UPS, and I just can't log in anymore. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why can't I log in? So I finally call them. I call them up and say, hey, my password's not working. Why can't I get into the site? And they looked up and they said, oh yeah, you can't get into the site because you don't have insurance. You haven't had insurance since October 11th. So for over a month, I did not have insurance, and I didn't even know it. No clue. So
this is kind of something you need at this point.
Yeah, because I still haven't gotten on a drug yet. I'm a new doctor, but I haven't got my MRIs yet. So all that put everything on pause. I couldn't get my MRIs. I couldn't get it put on Ocrevus, which is what I needed to be put on to slow my disease down, because mine was fast. My new neurologist, the guy I actually like, he seconded it, said yes, it's primary progressive, but he called it the fastest, most aggressive case he had ever seen. Like, it just hit me so hard that I went from being normal to just being disabled. So at that time, could still kind of walk, couldn't drive. I stopped driving at that point because it was too nerve-wracking. My foot would just fall off the pedals, and that's what I did for a living, was drive. So I was like, yep, I'm done. Like, this is it for me. There's no more driving. But so when I lost my insurance, that just took me down too. That was a downward spiral, because that took me a month to figure out, between talking to insurance companies, HR at work, the resource hub, all that stuff, back and forth. That was a full-time job doing that. And stress, from what I learned very quickly and hard, is the worst thing you can possibly do for MS. And so between that month, I went from walking to not walking. Like, it took my legs from me. And the reason was, remember that first doctor I told you about? He took me off of work, but everything he was sending into my work and insurance said I was okay. There was nothing wrong. I was good. I should be able to work, except he took me off work. So he would send this little tiny paragraph each week or each month, and it basically said that I was fine. So I didn't know that this was what was being sent because, our doctor's appointments didn't go that way in my mind, because he was telling me it's primary progressive. He'll probably be in a wheelchair, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is what you have to do. But everything he told my job was he's fine. So then they're like, well, why can't you be at work? So that was what caused me to lose my insurance, which caused me to lose my legs, which caused me to be in a wheelchair, which caused, so this was a trickle down that happened. So instead of being
the
able,
butterfly effect.
yeah. So instead of being able to get onto Ocrevus, which is at the time the only disease modifying therapy I could take for primary progressive MS, I could have got on it in November. I did not get on it until late January, and then in those 2 months, I lost my legs. That's what I always say. And that doctor took my legs from me.
So what do you do then?
That's a good question. So what happened then was I finally got my insurance back. I finally got all my MRIs. I got a baseline. I got plans to get onto Ocrevus. I got on Ocrevus at the end of January, which stopped my spiral. I started feeling better because these drugs, they don't make you better. They make you not worse. So they stop your progression. That's their job. And it did it for me. It did. I was sliding downhill fast. I got on this drug. I stopped sliding, which gave me the ability to try to start figuring out my life again. And I kind of did. I started physical therapy. I started to look into trying to drive again with hand controls. Like I started all that stuff. And I did about a month and a half of therapy. Now we're into March of 2020. What happened in March of 2020?
Jeez, oh, Pete. Oh my God, you get hit with COVID right
We
there.
got hit with COVID.
Nobody's going in. Nobody.
So I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to therapy. I couldn't do anything. And so I spent 4 months in my room. I had to move back in with my parents because I lived on a second floor apartment. So I had to move back in with my parents, and that was in December. But so when COVID hit, I did not leave my room. I left to go. I could walk to the bathroom using the walls. I could walk into the kitchen using walls, using chairs, using whatever I could grab onto. I didn't even go in my own living room for months because it was too big of an open space. There was nothing I could hold on to keep me upright. So for 4 months, I was stuck in my room just trying to figure out what happened to me and what I was going to be when I came out of it, or if I came out of it. And that if was a big question at that point, because that was a dark time. Like I had to face myself and look at myself in the mirror and be like, all right, what are you doing here? You are basically stuck in your bed. You can't walk. You can't drive. You're going to be stuck in a wheelchair probably forever. You can barely get around the house. You can't even leave the house now because everything's shut down and you can't drive or walk. So what are you going to do? So I had to sit with that and figure it out. And luckily, I'm here right now talking to you because at that point, I didn't know if that was going to be an option or not.
Because we're now 6 years down the road.
Right. So I had to do, like I had to make the conscious choice to look at my life, look at who I used to be, and I killed myself. I killed my old self. And during that COVID time, I grieved the loss of my own life. Went through every step. And everyone knows grief. Everyone's been through grief. But when you do it for your own life, it is hard. And it still comes back. It creeps in now and there. Obviously, it's going to because I lived it. Mm-hmm. But I had to just cut it off at that point and just hope that I could climb out. And so that's how I always thought about it, was like the deep, dark hole that I was in, that MS put me in. That was what I saw. And so each time I went through each layer of that grief, it like gave me another foothold so I could crawl a little more. And then finally I started seeing the light. I got closer and closer. And I did all this on my own. Because like I said, I didn't know what MS was. I didn't know anybody with MS. I had it for almost a year at this point, and I knew nothing except that it had ruined my life at 37 Now I'm 38. Now I'm stuck in this room. Now I'm stuck in this wheelchair. And who am I going to become? You know, I could not be here. Like I said, I could have very easily just started drinking. I could have very easily started doing drugs, and nobody would have batted an eye at it because my life just got completely flipped upside down. And it did. It did. But somehow I was able to do it. I stopped drinking. I haven't drank in 7 years. Like I stopped drinking before I even got diagnosed. Like I've cleaned my act up. I've done everything I need to. But at that point, I just didn't know. So I finally got to peek out over that deep dark hole that I was in, and I saw light. And once I saw that light, the light bulb came on, and COVID started to back off a little bit, and it was July now. So things started opening up a little bit. So I was able to get back to physical therapy. That was the main thing. I was able to get back to physical therapy. I got hooked up with Jessica Benchley from the University of Michigan. She has been my therapist since then. So for 6 years, I have had her, and all of my successes that I have now, I owe to her for pushing me and, dealing with me, because I was not easy to deal with at that time. Because I'm stubborn, and I was, how frustrating is it when you can't walk? Until you know, you don't know. And that's what I dealt with. But the light bulb came on, and I basically said to myself, I said, fuck this. I am not going to be in a wheelchair. I'm not going to be that guy. And I will do anything I can to get out of it and stay out of it. And that's how it began.
How important do you think it was for you to have that funeral for yourself?
I think that was the main thing that I had to do. I don't think I could have done everything I've done in the last 6 years and be able to, walk now and ride a bike and everything I've accomplished, because in my medical charts, I'm diagnosed paraplegic. Like it's right there. Like I am not supposed to be doing this. It's right there.
Well, and I have to admit, because Noreen, when she introduced us, said that you're paraplegic.
Yeah.
And then I was watching videos of you online, and I'm watching you walking, and then obviously you walked into here, and it's like, whoa, that's an impact.
Yeah, like I was shocked because I didn't know that for a while. So I went and I did this THC sleep study. And so I had to go and talk to the girl that put it on, and she's going through all my medical charts and all of my medications and this and that and diagnoses, and so we're going through it all. She's like MS, this drug, this drug, and then at one point she said, "Yeah, we're diagnosed paraplegic," and I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, diagnosed paraplegic," and I just kind of laughed because at that point I was walking ish, and I just kind of laughed and I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" She's like, "No, it's right here. Whatever date it was, diagnosed paraplegic." And I just kind of laughed again. I was like, "Well, I mean, it makes sense. I guess I am. I was at the time." And that's when they wrote it in there, and there it is. Like I'm a paraplegic, and here I am still trying to walk, and I still work at it every single day. It is, as much as I do, and I don't know how much you saw on my social media, all the stuff I do, the hardest thing I can do is walk. Riding a bike is easier than walking. Lifting weights is easier than walking. My workout class is easier than walking. Walking is the hardest thing I can possibly do.
That's so crazy when you think about like riding a bike and all these other things you can do.
Yeah.
And it's the actual thing that we take for granted.
Yeah, correct.
We take for granted. Nobody sits and thinks like, I'm blessed I can walk.
Yeah. Like I see people, and I get in that mindset sometimes because I'll see people and I'll just be like, man, I wish I could do that. But I stay away from that attitude because that does nothing for me. What brings me right back to it is I don't think, man, that I wish that was me. I think 5 years ago, I couldn't walk. And then that realigns my perspective, and that's just what I do. And my brain doesn't know where my legs are. That's the problem. It has no idea. So they're just there. And
there was a clip that's the clip that I saw, and it was probably like 30 seconds long, and you had said that your mind doesn't know where your legs are at. And so you were walking in the video, and so it painted the graphic, obviously.
It's such a weird sensation because my legs are mostly numb and it's not pins and needles. It's it's nerve pain, which is almost impossible to explain. Like, it's so hard to explain nerve pain. Like, all I feel is pain, but you could probably stab me in the leg and I wouldn't even feel it. I can feel slight pressure, like I can feel pressure for things, and I can feel cold. Like, if you drip some cold water on my leg will jump up in the air. I can't control it, but that's what it does. So I can feel water. I can feel every single drop of snow, every snowflake. I can feel, and it sends like little electrical impulses. But like I said, you could stab me and I wouldn't even feel it. Like, I
That's
have
so
to
interesting.
check my legs constantly for cuts, bruises, all that stuff, because I'll look at it and be like, oh, yeah, there's another cut. I don't know where that came from or how I did that. Oh, there's a huge bruise. I don't know where that came from. So that's how much feeling I don't have. And I don't take any painkillers whatsoever because I can't. I cannot. I don't smoke weed either. Like, a bunch of MS people I know swear by marijuana, and I've tried it. It just doesn't work for me because I cannot take away my pain. If I take away my pain, I take away my ability to know where my legs are. So that's my feedback. My pain is my feedback. So as I'm walking and the pain that I feel makes my brain know where my legs are. So if I don't have it, I can't do it. And I found that out the hard way because I was trying out the marijuana and it worked. It took my pain away, but I just fell on the floor because I couldn't walk anymore. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, walking to me is more important than not having pain. And so I made that decision. Like, right, no painkillers, no marijuana. I'm just going to use my pain because I would rather walk.
It's so interesting on one, the complexity and craziness of our bodies
Yep.
in some of the stuff you're describing, but also the craziness and the complexity of our mindset in the sense of going through and adjusting and overcoming some of
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of physical activity, obviously, because that's what has gotten me where I am. You know, when I first started learning how to walk, I looked like Herbert from Family Guy.
Yeah, yeah. Got the image.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was because,
Yeah.
I'm a tall guy. So
Yeah.
I was hunched over on this walker and I was braced from thigh to foot. So I had 2 ACL braces on, I had 2 AFOs on. I was braced as much as you could be braced. And I'd be leaned over on this walker and I would just throw my foot in front of me and hope for the best. And if it landed, I would throw my next foot in front of me. And if that landed, that's how that, I mean, it didn't land a lot of times. I spent more time on the ground than anything, but I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And I would go to therapy. I would wheel myself into therapy and then I would get up and we would use the walker and do whatever we had to learn how to walk. And then she would have to wheel me out because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't even wheel myself out because I was so exhausted.
from
Couldn't
that.
walk, couldn't wheel myself. And then I would just kind of flop into my car, not even my car because I had to get dropped off at the time. So I would, that was my life for 6, 9 months or so, just doing that. And then we just slowly progressed and slowly started to learn how to use the muscles again. I had those AFOs on, and at one point, my physical therapist said, "We need to get you out of those AFOs." Do you know what an AFO is?
No.
So the AFO is it's a thing that goes under your foot and then straps like onto your calf so that your foot doesn't drop.
Okay.
So it doesn't drop or doesn't curl or do whatever it is. So they work. But for me, it felt like whenever I wore those, I felt like I was going to tip over backwards because there's no way to lean forward. So I always felt like I was tipping over backwards, which isn't a great feeling.
Yeah.
But she decided that she's like, we need to get those off of you because we need to teach you how to use your ankle muscles again. I said, all right, let's do this. And that's what we did. We focused on those tiny little ankle muscles to try to get to movement and to try to get my foot to work again, and started there. And then moved up to getting rid of the knee braces and moved up to walking with a cane and then walking with 2 walking sticks and then walking with 1 walking stick. And this is the progression over the 6 years. And then one of my biggest accomplishments just happened back in May. I did the MS walk, which I've been a part of this is my 5th year now. I walked the entire mile without my stick.
Wow.
which has never been done before. Like the furthest I've ever walked without my stick is maybe a quarter mile, and I walked the entire mile without it. It took me like an hour, but who cares?
Who cares?
I took a lot of rest breaks, but I did it. And I was sore for a week, but it was worth it because I did it. It was one of the goals of mine. I had that goal for a long time, and I finally did it. And I've had other things that help. Like I don't have them on today, but I wear psionic neural sleeves. They're, TENS units.
Yeah.
It's basically a TENS unit. It's like a super TENS unit.
Okay.
But it fires all 4 of your major muscle groups in your legs, but in the sequence of your walking. So it's actually helping your muscles work. The main thing for me is my foot. So my left foot, when I walk, it'll land wherever it wants to, or it'll just flop sideways. Drop foot is what they call it. So that helps the drop foot because it actually pulls my foot up. So those have been a game changer. And so I had those, and I practiced walking in those for months. And then I was like, I'm going to be able to walk. I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk an entire mile. And I did.
It makes me think when you talk about like the drop foot, like, and I think we've all can relate, like when your legs asleep. Yeah. You stand up and you just kind of like fall over but like your foot, you don't know. Right. Like you're walking and all of a sudden your foot's over and then the next thing you know, you're on the ground, I'm assuming. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many times I hit the ground. Like I've fallen so many times, I've lost count. I became a very good faller. Like I've learned how to fall, which is crazy to say, but it's something you need to learn how to do. When you fall that much, you got to learn how to fall. Like I had one bad fall, and this was just recently, actually. It was a couple months ago. It was the day before my 44th birthday. I was walking in a support group, and a piece of concrete jumped out of the ground and just threw me down on the ground. That's all it was. It was, a piece of concrete. I know the piece of concrete was like this big once I like finally got through, but the way I fell, I didn't fall. Like I said, it threw me. Yeah. And I just was slammed. Yeah. Just face first slammed. Luckily, I didn't hit my face, but what I did do was I broke a finger, and this whole hand was all beat. Like I was a bloody mess. I broke a finger. I got in there, and I finally got up, finally got in there. People got an ice pack. I got all the blood off all over me. And then a couple minutes later, I like realized that my ribs hurt, and I was like, oh no. Like, this isn't good. I cracked a rib also. So I fell down and broke a finger and a rib. And then I realized, because that's how my brain works, I'm trying to figure out how that happened. Like, how did I break a rib? Because there wasn't anything on the ground that could do it. And if I would have just landed straight, I would have hit my face, but I didn't. Like, how the hell did I break a rib and a finger? Yeah. And then I finally put it together because of the fingers that got messed up on this hand. This hand came into here. Just like this.
In your body of all places.
So I broke my own rib with my fingers, with my hand. Yeah, isn't that takes talent, right? It's funny, but it's not. It's not funny, but now it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I had to piece it all together because this finger was completely black. Like I finally just lost my nails a couple weeks ago, and my rib still hurts. It's
cracked ribs are not like they hurt. And you laying down. Yeah,
that's my second time I've done it. So I knew what I was in for. But yeah, it still hurts. But it's one of those. It just happens. I didn't let it hurt me or take me out. I just kept going, just differently. When I'd laugh like this. I'd brace myself. When I coughed, I just wanted to shoot myself.
Yeah.
And that was again, funny now, but that was in late February. And that next week, it was when we had like 60-degree weather. Oh, yeah. And so like it was allergy season instantly. In February, allergy season. So I got allergies and I sneezed probably 300 times that weekend. And it was just terrible. It was so bad. But I got through it. And then after that, it was a domino effect. So I did that. I fell. I was sneezing. I broke my rib. And then I had I had a corneal ulcer in my eye. I had some gum things. Like it was 6 weeks of just awful.
And I want to take a moment of view. I love what you said about like, you got to practice falling. because I think that applies to more than just you. I think it applies to everybody. I think the biggest thing that we worry about is failing. We worry about falling.
Yeah.
You know, we worry, oh, I can't do this. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to fall. I'm going to, you know, fall on my face and that kind of thing. And the thing is like, in order to get through life, you've got to fall on your face as many times.
And
so you got to figure out how to cushion yourself, right? You got to figure out how to take care of yourself when you're falling and how to get back up. How do you get back up?
And not just falling, you need to know how to get back up. You need to learn how to not just fall, but fail. Like I've failed so many times with this, but that you don't learn until you fail. You don't learn until you fall. What did I do wrong? Why did I fall? Why did I fail? Did I push myself too hard? Yes, I did. Did I learn things the hard way? 100% I did. You know, I would push myself too much and I would wipe myself off for 2 weeks. And I learned.
Yeah.
And you don't know where that line is until you cross it. And I crossed many lines. But luckily, I didn't do it again. I'm smart enough to not do it twice.
Yeah.
I learn where it's at, and then I tow it, and then I slowly move it. Because you can. The line can move. The more you do stuff, you can move that line. You can get better. You can do better. Your fatigue levels can get better. You can walk farther. You can do this. You slowly got to move it. And that's what I've been doing for 6 years.
Well, and it shows from not being able to walk to where you are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
falling or not,
and that's you nailed it because I'm not afraid of falling. I know it's gonna happen. But I also know I'm going to get up.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to let it bother me. And I'm going to make jokes about it because that's what you do.
You know? Yeah. It's one of those things we can take ourselves so seriously. But I've laughed at some of your stuff. I'm so glad that you're that guy. I can tell it. But it's like one of those things you can laugh at it now. I'm sure it was infuriating and all the things, all the emotions then. But now you're like,
no, it's great.
So
I'm wearing a shirt. It's actually one of my friends' podcast that I did, one of the latest podcasts I did. I love the shirt because it's called Plot Twist Still Alive, which is a great name. But what's greatest about it is on the bottom. I don't know if you can read it on the bottom. What that says down there.
What doesn't kill you makes you fucking hilarious.
That is the epitome of me.
I love that.
That's
shirt.
exactly.
Is that his podcast?
This is Crystal. It's her podcast.
Okay.
It's she's a 3-time breast cancer survivor, and then she came up with this, and we randomly met, just kind of like you. It was just a random meeting. We knew nothing about each other, and I did this podcast with her. And you would think we had known each other for years because we both have this dark humor.
Yep.
And it was a great one. But I was like, man, I have to wear this shirt.
I love that shirt.
Yeah, but doesn't kill you makes you fucking hilarious. I'm like, yes, it does. It 100% does. Like I was funny before, but I'm way funnier now.
Well, because you should be able to laugh at yourself, you know? Like, I'm sure there's a little bit of like humbleness to that.
Yeah. I like to call it
hilarious now.
You know how there's like people say self-deprecating humor?
Yeah.
It makes sense, right? But I like to call it self-defecating humor. Because you shit on yourself and it's hilarious. So there you go. You can use that if you want.
I've never heard anybody say that before, and I don't know how, because it's so close. That is so good.
I've actually said it wrong.
It's actually what we're doing.
I've said it wrong on accident before, where like I meant to say deprivating, and I've said defecating. I'm like, oh shit! Like I didn't actually mean to that time. Exactly.
So, and like this show, Coffee and Grit, and it's a show for difference makers, people that have, they went out and they've experienced life. And they found.
I checked up, I looked at it. I checked out some of your old. I see that you've done like 260 of them. Yeah, which is amazing. Yeah, and so I checked out. I looked at a few of them. Listened to a little bit pieces of here and there, and I was like, man, this is awesome. I love what he does, and I love that you're talking to difference makers, and I'm feel honored to be one of those people. Even when I was talking to Kristen, who is a mutual friend of ours, she even said, she's like, hey, he doesn't just invite anybody to be on his podcast. And he's like, you should feel special. I was like, oh man, like this is awesome. Like, I'm so honored to be here.
It's a true story. I have told people you're not ready to be on the podcast yet. And Noreen has connected me to a bunch of different people. But when she told me a little bit about your story, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And then I looked you up and I'm like, oh, tattoos, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, she got some really cool shots of me too. So
I could imagine.
There's one that like I really like. It's I have my shirt on and I got a big logo. It's MS is the wrong MFer. It's that's the one. My Instagram, my TikTok. That's the brand I'm building. I've made a bunch of apparel shirts. I mean, it's on everywhere.
Yeah.
Is my stuff, and I'm trying to make it into a nonprofit eventually. But I had that shirt on, and it's like a beautiful headshot, and I'm going to use it for, hopefully more speeches in the future, and try to build that there. And there's another one that's really great because my tattoo looks amazing on this arm.
Oh, it does look amazing
Yeah.
on that arm.
So it was really cool to meet her, and again, just completely random how that came about, which led to how random this is, and that's how I'm here now.
I love how all that stuff. I love how the world
it's just
connects.
Organic, yeah,
yeah, it's all organic.
Yep.
It's all organic, and then usually when somebody connects me, we end up having mutual friends like Kristen together. And it's just cool how small the world actually is.
Yes, seriously. And Kristen's fantastic.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife has done shirts for their company and stuff like that. And
I'll be seeing her on Friday because her husband's birthday is coming up this week. So I'm gonna hang out with them. Yeah, small world.
It's such a small world. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. So now going back into that, talking about I love how when people have things that happen to them, they find a way to go out there and give back or make an impact in the community. And so you talked about speaking a couple of times. Tell me how that's all evolving.
It's been really cool, but I decided once I fully came to terms with having MS, and mine was so bad I couldn't hide it. So I just kind of went full force into it. I just blunt force, straight ahead. I can't hide it, so I'm going to be loud about it. And that's what I decided to do. I was involved with Yoga Moves MS early on, which helped me a ton because when I wasn't walking, the yoga really helped me. And it finally got me the community that I had been lacking. So I finally was able to connect with people that have MS to understand what I'm going through. And it got me into different local support groups. And it helped me have a community finally when I didn't. So I started doing that. And then that led to, they put on events in March. March is MS Awareness Month. And that's why I made my Instagram. I did not have Instagram before this. And I was like, man, they're doing all these live events on Instagram. I guess I might as well get it now. I don't really want to, but I did. And that's when I came up with the with the wrong MF name, which as soon as I did, I was like, okay, that's brilliant. First off. So I did that, and I started listening to all these different speeches and people talking about stuff, but people have MS and big advocates or influencers or whatever you want to call them. And I couldn't connect with them because they were still working. They were still mobile. They were still working. All this stuff that I couldn't do anymore.
Yeah.
They were all doing, and they're these big advocates in MS, and I just couldn't connect with them because my world got flipped upside down like that.
Yep.
So that was the moment that I kind of decided that people need to hear my story, and I need to be louder about this because there's people like me that can't connect to that, but those people can connect to me. And so that's why it got started. That's why I started posting more. That's why I started just talking about my story. And that led to, dozens of podcasts now and actual events, speaking events. And that's what I just want to keep doing because if I can help one person from my talk, it's a win for me because I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I do it is I don't want anybody that is going through MS to go through it alone like I did. My first year was awful, as you've heard. You heard about the first year.
Yep.
It was terrible. And I did it completely alone. I got lucky I made it out. And so I don't want anyone else to have to do that. So that's why I'm so vocal about it. I even run a support group once a month now for newbies with MS. I got it like 5 years or under. And I just once a month we go on and we talk and it's just a place for them to come on, be safe, talk, complain, bitch, cry. It doesn't matter what they do, but they can do it with other people that understand. And so every month I do that. And it's growing. It's getting some months we have 2 people. Other months we have 12 people. You never know what it's going to get, but I'm still there every month. And I'm there because I didn't have that. And I want to be the person for others so they don't go through what I did. I did it. I survived.
Yeah.
Other people might not.
5,000%. Well, and just you're a difference maker. You're someone that you made the decisions by yourself. And I'm not saying you didn't have support or anybody there helping you or anything else, but you made the decision to have the funeral for yourself. You made the decision that this is you're gonna move forward,
Right.
you know, and you made the decision not to be on drugs. You made all those decisions versus and that's probably not the majority.
Right.
Like you're like 1%.
Right.
And so for you to be able to carry that, like we get and we get handed our experiences and what happens with us so we can help other people. I really do
Right.
believe that.
Right.
And so when you're able to adjust the way that you have, not saying you've had it easy by any means, you made it easier than what most people make.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's easy.
Again,
but
I don't want other people to go through what I did.
yeah.
And so it's already happened to me. Like, why wouldn't I be loud? Why wouldn't I tell my story? All that happened to me can't happen to me again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might at some point. You know, I know I've come to terms with this disease. I know what it is. I know that it's only ever going to get worse. It will not get better. But I can be the best I can today. I can live to the best I can right now. Tomorrow, I can try to be a little better than today. The next day, something could come up and I may drop back 5 steps, but I will just keep finding ways. I will adapt. I will figure out how to do it. But like finally coming to terms with that and knowing that it's only ever going to get worse and not better. I know it sounds fucked up and dark and demented, but it is. That's a disease.
Mm-hmm.
And once I came to terms with that, that made me live life to the fullest now. And it made me do the stuff that I can now. And it made me push myself now because I can. And I know there's a day that I won't be able to. So why not do it now?
It's huge. And honestly, that's all of us.
Yeah.
You just have, it's more in front of you.
Yeah.
It's in front of you and you see it versus like we're all going to die. We're all going to be in a place where we can't make it happen. When my grandma passed away, it was like one of those really sad, and it was really a realization for me. And then a couple years later, my stepbrother, who's a couple years younger than me, passed away. And it was looking at 2 people that didn't live life fully because of fear or the fact that you think that you're young and you're going to accomplish everything tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then one day it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And you're watching that kind of happen. And it's like, man, that again, we don't know. I could be driving home not tonight. You never know what's going to happen. So we live like we're dying, right?
Yeah.
Go make the impact that you want to make today because you might not have tomorrow.
Yeah. And as much as this disease sucks and how shitty it is and how much it, wrecked my life, there's been so many good things that have come from it, which is wild to say. Wild? Like the community that I've met, the people I've met all over this country because of, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, the people I've met and become very close to, they're all over this country. And that's a great community. I've done 3 or 4 like cross-country road trips now because I can drive again. I finally got my hand controls. And once I did, I was like, I'm driving, I'm going. So my first one, I went to Montana so I could get the rest of this tattoo filled out. And then I went the next year so I could do all this side. And then that turned into my latest trip. Well, not latest, but my big one was I went cross country. I did an almost 10,000 mile road trip on my own, just driving around. And I met up with 24 people with MS along the way.
Wow.
Some people that I knew, some people that I didn't. Some people that just happened to see that I was in their area and was like, hey, I have MS too. And I went and saw, 7 different national parks on one of my trips. MS caused me to actually slow down and see the beauty in things. I would have never done that when I was working. I would have taken my week off, here and there. I would have probably got tattooed because I always get tattooed on my vacation weeks. And then I would heal from my tattoo. I would have probably gone to a concert. I would have probably played sports and I would have drank a bunch of beer. And that would have been my vacation. And I go back to work the next week. And now this time I'm like, man, national parks, like I'm going to every single one I can. If I pass by, I'm stopping. And look what it turned into. Look at me becoming like a public speaker now. That's something I never thought I would be. I never thought I would be an inspiration. My story sucks. And I'm glad it can help other people.
Yeah.
But it still sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm very vocal about it. And I think that's why people like it from my perspective. Because first off, I'm a male. I'm a younger male. which is a minority in MS in general, because it's mainly a female dominated disease.
Yeah.
It's like 70-30.
Yeah.
And then being younger, being as aggressive as it was, looking the way I look, talking the way I talk, it was like people notice me, and I got a story to tell, so I'm going to use it and I'm going to tell it.
God put you there for a reason, right? It's one of those, and you mentioned how the male to female disparity, and it's been a couple years now. I played basketball with a guy that was diagnosed with MS, and I was like, really? MS? Because I worked in a nursing home when I was younger, and it was all women that I remember having MS, and I was like, really? And so this guy, and again, I could see it's like not being able to relate, because this guy he played basketball with us, but like he would guard me and he'd end up throwing up. Like he was probably a good almost 300 pounds.
Oh,
Overweight and all that kind of stuff. And you notice these symptoms, was diagnosed with MS. Now this guy, he dropped about 160 pounds.
Good.
He runs all over the place.
That's
he runs
amazing.
like it's amazing to see. He's a completely different guy from the eating and the diet and the stuff that he's had to do.
Yeah.
But like MS changed his life.
It forces you to change. It really does. And you just have to be open to it and accept it and be like, you know what? I can't keep living like this. I changed how I eat. I don't follow any strict diets, but I'm more cognizant of stuff now.
Yeah.
Like I don't eat a lot of sweets. Like I said, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I don't drink pop. I don't drink juice. I drink water. That's all I drink is water. I stay away from sweets. I stay away from bread, stuff like that. But then again, if I want pizza, I'm eating pizza.
Yeah.
This disease took so much from me that I'm not going to let it take away pizza if I want pizza.
Yeah.
Like I know what it's going to do to me. It's not going to feel great, but it's going to taste delicious, and I'm okay with the outcome.
You can make the sacrifice. We sacrifice in life.
100%. In moderation. Everything in moderation.
Yep.
That's how I feel now. But yeah, I like sweets wise, I just stay away from as much sugar as I can.
Is it more the sugar related
more the
stuff?
Sugar. Yeah. More the sugar for me. Anything inflammatory, really.
Yeah.
Anything that's inflammatory is going to screw us up.
I think Matt, he can't eat protein.
Okay.
Like he doesn't eat meat or anything.
Oh, see, that's like all I eat.
See, that's what I would do. Like
so
what?
Different. It's so different for everybody.
Different for everybody, and that's the thing is like everybody's body
Whatever
is so
works
different.
for you best, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I can't. I've never been a big sweets guy in general, but once I knew that it was like not good for me, I was like, well, now I'm even less of a sweets guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, every now
it's not like you're gonna be like, whoa, the brownies today taste good.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't that guy, it's not now.
Every now and again, there'll be a cookie there, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll eat a cookie. I'll eat one.
Yeah.
It's funny because we have a MS support group, and it's once a month. It was just yesterday. And usually we only meet once a month. So almost every month there's somebody's birthday. And they will bring in like a cake and stuff. And I have never once eaten a piece of cake. Everyone else is. I just can't. Chocolate. I don't even like chocolate. But they had some apples there that they were giving away, and I just mowed down like 3 apples. It's like, I'm good with this. Like, this is delicious. I don't need that cake. I don't need that crap, which is weird because any other day, being a kid, it was like, oh man, cake.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, ooh, apples. Yes.
Like when there's certain things you look at your life, you ever have to laugh and be like, oh my God, I can't imagine.
Oh, I laugh all the time. I laugh all the time about it. Yeah, I do. Because it's wild how much you change and how much you have to adapt to what's in front of you. And like I said, I'm like a public speaker now.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd do that. Most people can't even imagine doing that. Most people are scared shitless about public speaking. Where me, I just go up there and I just do this.
Yeah.
This is what it is for me. Like, I don't think about it as there being however many 100 people out there. This is a conversation with me and all of those people, but personally.
Yep.
And like we talked about before, this is not scripted. We didn't plan this. This is just conversation. And that's how my talks are. It's conversation. It's real. It's raw. I can talk about how dark it was that first year. And then I can talk about how I broke my finger and my rib at the same time and then make the whole room laugh,
Yep.
Because it's real.
Yeah.
And I'm not reading off a screen, and you can tell.
Yep.
You can always tell what's real and what's read. And I don't ever want to be that red type. I'm just always going to be real. And I'll forget what I'm talking about because I have MS. That happens.
Yeah.
And I'll have to reset, and then I'll make a joke about it and move on.
Oh, heck
That's
yeah.
just how it works. Because what doesn't kill you makes you fucking hilarious.
It's the absolute best. It's a great shirt to wear while you're speaking to you. And like, you can point to it. So what kind of groups are you speaking to? Or who are you looking for?
I'm actually I want to try to get a hold of Genentech, who is the maker of Ocrevus, which is a drug I've been on for like 6 years, because I know they do a lot of talks and they do, dinners and stuff for people all around the country. And I would love to be a spokesman for them because I have been on Ocrevus for 6 years now, and it's done its job for me. And I would love to be that. But really, it's whoever really wants to. Like I did Fargo in April, and it was called the Little Black Dress and Tie for MS. It's an event that was put on by the Dakota Medical Foundation, and it's for the MS Society. And they just reached out to me, and for 3 years they had speakers. I was the third one. Brittany Kiros did it the first year, who I know because of the connections I have. Cheryl Heil did it last year, who I know because of just the MS community.
Yeah.
And I was like honored to be there, to be asked to do it, because Brittany was one of the very first people that I saw and met. Well, not met, but just saw and started watching that was like, holy cow, like this girl is incredible. She's had it a little less than I have. Plus, she's all tatted up as I am too. And I finally did get to meet her on one of my road trips. Like, she has a podcast as well. And so we actually did it in person at her house and got to meet her. But I was honored to be on her stage because she's just blowing up. She's an artist. She's not only like a recording artist, but she's an actual like painting artist, and she's just doing amazing things.
Wow.
And so like I was on the same stage as her, and they asked me to do it, and I was like, I'm just a bum. Like, I'm just wandering around I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth. So how does anybody else know? Like, it's a gamble whenever you ask me to do things because I don't know what's going to happen. But they did. And it went great. And I got a lot of great feedback about it. And most of the people, it was what I said before. They loved how real it was. They loved how raw it was. They loved that it wasn't a canned speech, that I screwed up sometimes. I forgot stuff, because that's who I am. I'm not going to try to pretend I'm something I'm not. And then in May, I went to Louisville, and it was a panel. There was like 7 of us, and it was MS Rising. Phoebe Walker put it on, and Phoebe Walker, she started DAMS, which is Dance a Mile in My Shoes. Dance a Milin. The play on words, Mylan Sheath, Dance a Mile in My Shoes. And she, quote unquote, says, I want to find a bunch of badasses and have them talk about their story. And I was one of those badasses.
That's awesome.
But it turns out it was more than that. And I didn't even know this until the conference, but she was having a rough time and just going through some shit. And she saw one of my posts and one of my things. And that's what lit the fire under her to actually create this event. I didn't know about that until I got there, until she talked about it. And I was like, holy shit.
Heading back.
Like, this is amazing that, like, because of me and because of what I'm doing, like, this whole thing came about, which got all of us together. Like, I finally got to meet Cheryl because Cheryl was there. Like, I'd known her, but I never got to meet her. And so it just brought all of us together. And it was it was mainly virtual event. And I think we had about, 100 people or so. But for the first one, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And just to have 7 different stories of MS, because yes, we're similar, but yes, we're so different. And so that's, I'm up for anything. I would love to. I'm going to a conference in a couple of weeks in Wisconsin. I'm not speaking at it. I'm just going. Just because it's a big MS conference. It's 4 days long. I can meet with the people, hang out with a bunch of the guys that are in it. That's what it's all about, is the connections. And he has speakers. He has different stuff. We have workouts every morning. This is the stuff that we need to learn. So, like, I love doing this stuff. And I would love to do more of it, to be able to travel and do all this. If you know anybody, let me know, man.
And that's even why I even talk about it on this podcast. Who's listening?
I'll jump in a car and drive wherever.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's like, because one of those things, like, you have no idea who you're inspiring.
Right.
Like, you look at someone doing these amazing things, and then she comes back and says that you're the one that inspired her to do it.
I couldn't believe it. It was, so when I got to the hotel, we had a little gift bag in there that had like a card, and it had a mug, or had one of these type cups and all that. And then there was a little card in it. And in the card, that's what it said. That was, you're the reason that this is happening, because I saw something. I was like, holy shit. And then she said it on the actual interview. And I was like, again, I'm like, wow, Like, I'm just, I don't feel like I'm anyone important at all. I'm just doing my thing, at the speed that I do it. And half the stuff I say, I don't remember I say, because again, I don't know what I'm going to, I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It just comes out. I don't really think before I speak. So it's a surprise to everybody. And so I was just amazed that I was like, holy cow, like I had this impact on this lady, and this is why I'm here, and this is why we're all here. And it went so well. And I was, again, just honored to be part of it. And just I was very humbled too by that, to be like, wow, like my words really can make a difference in somebody's life, which is just amazing to me.
Well, it's so huge when you're like, oh, who am I? Like I'm just me. But then other people see you like you see her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the fact of the matter is like they're seeing you and they're relating to your story and they're seeing the impact that you're making.
Yeah. It's always funny because one of my good buddies, he makes it a joke to like call me an inspiration, because I've gotten like better at accepting it. But at first I was like, don't, come on. Don't say that to me.
Yeah.
Like I've like, all right, fine. I guess I am fine. Just, I finally like gave into it. Like, all right, fine. I guess I'm an inspiration.
Yeah.
Cool. But it's like, because I just don't think of myself that way. This is what I'm doing. I'm just sharing my story. And if people want to listen to it, cool. If they don't, cool. But this is what I'm doing. If it's annoying, don't listen to it. But I'm just going to keep doing it.
And that's the cool thing. That's the best part is like, I've had clients are like, my biggest fear is that nobody will listen. And I'm like, well, like, good. Like, maybe they won't. But the thing is like, what you hope is that like some people will listen and they don't like you. Yeah. And they won't listen to you again, because they're not the right people and they're not the right fit. And like we make this content because people that want to pull in and hear this story, they want to be inspired. They want to make a difference. And
I flat out know there are a lot of people that don't like me, which is fine.
5,000%. Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. It makes me a little sad though, because like a lot of them are in the MS community. And the only reason is they don't like me is because I'm doing things that they aren't, can't, or won't, instead of just trying and being happy for somebody else. Like I am always too, because I see other people that have MS and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing what you can do. Like, that's awesome. I don't think about it as like, man, screw you for doing that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people act that way about me. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, because whether you can or you can't doesn't change what they can and can't do.
Right. And I'm not telling them to do this. I'm telling them to do something. That's my biggest thing is, I don't tell people that, anybody can do what I did, because I don't think people can. I don't. Like you said, I think it's a very low percentage that people can do what I did. But I do want people to do something, no matter what it is, no matter what it looks like. If you can raise your leg up twice the next day. That's something. That's improvement. Because all those small things add up. And I'm a perfect example of that, because like I said, when I learned how to walk again, it was one foot in front of the other. And then the next foot. And all those small things turned into being able to walk, being able to put those sticks down, being able to ride a bike, being able to do all this stuff, being able to drive again. Like the little things matter. It's not going to happen overnight. Again, 6 years. It's been 6 years of just dedicated, nonstop work. It never ends. And I put the work in. I put the time in because it's worth it to me, because I want to keep walking. Simple as that.
Simple as that. But you have a clear goal. You get a clear vision of what you want to do. And then you found the way to put in the work. You found the community. You found the support group. Because the other thing I hear you saying a lot is all the people that have come into your life.
The people are great. The community is amazing. On Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I was so against TikTok for the longest time too. As much as I was, even more than I was against Instagram.
Yeah.
And I finally, one of my MS friends that I met on Facebook was like, man, you should come over to TikTok. And I was like, oh. That's just a bunch of stupid kids doing stupid dances. Yes. And I did. And I finally did. And I was like, holy crap. Like, it's like a huge MS community on here. And some of those people are like some of my closest friends now.
Wow.
And we talk all the time.
Yeah.
And we started, like I talked about, I play video games. I told you I play Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But we started like this online Mario Kart thing where we play on Switch, on TikTok, and just anyone that MS, it's mainly people with MS that play, and we play every week. We're playing tonight.
That's awesome.
It's just, that's what it become. And I was so against TikTok for so long. And now it's like, all right, I admit it. It's not just kids doing stupid dances. You know, all right. I finally can admit that.
Well, because they do have their own sections of communities.
Right.
They have
And
an
I
MS
didn't know
community.
that. I
They
didn't
have
know
a
that.
book talk. My wife follows like all the different books
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And there's different things that you can learn things.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like YouTube to a sense.
Right. If you can actually find and look for stuff. But again, I
Yep.
didn't know that. I
Yep.
was so against it. And I'm so glad I did, because those the connections that I made have just been amazing. And a lot of those people that I met on there, I've actually met in real life because of all my road trips that I've done. So it's just spreading further and further and just connecting with people.
It is cool. Are you doing content? I don't know if I'll start following you on TikTok. Are you doing like content and videos and stuff like that?
Pretty much what I do on, Facebook and Instagram, I do on TikTok.
Awesome.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I suck at doing the editing part of it. So
who cares?
I just record and post. And if people listen to it, cool. If they don't, also cool.
That's the reason why I do this.
Yeah.
I'm not
worried about how many likes I get, how many posts, comment. I don't care about any of that. It's just, if you want to see it, you can. If you don't, you don't.
It's really about the impact.
It's there for you.
And it's there for you. And this kind of all happened because of TikTok, really. Specifically, TikTok was the first one to get the ball rolling. The guy who owns this shop, Kevin, he owns another shop out in Farmington Hills. And just a fast forward story. He wanted to get content out there to help other shop owners. Guys that they were good mechanics, said, I'm going to go start a business, and they're really crappy business owners because they didn't realize it's more than fixing cars.
Right.
It's the marketing,
There's so
it's
much
the
more.
operations, it's leading, it's like all these things. And he's like, I just want to get content out there to help people do that. And so I can be on your podcast, you can cut some clips for me, put it out there. The long story short of it is like the power behind podcasting and short form content and getting it out there, especially for like TikTok, is that you find an audience. He had an audience of shop owners on TikTok, an audience of mechanics that all of a sudden start following his stuff. And within a few weeks, we had a clip hit 1 million views.
Holy crap.
It just kept on growing till last year. We got monetized. We got started getting paid by TikTok, and now Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube all pay us to make content.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Good for you.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. But what happened was he's making this content to help other shop owners, and he's just making stuff like knowing your numbers, like back end, like stuff that other people aren't making.
Right.
And he's also pretty, I don't want to say controversial. What's the word I'm looking for? Controversial is a good word. He doesn't really care what people say about him or think about him or anything. He says whatever.
I feel that.
Whatever he wants, which is awesome. We have 90,000 followers across the platforms.
That's amazing, man.
He now has consulting clients all over the country that have shop owners there. He's having them work with them to improve their shop. And now I just completed last week an online training to help the service advisors get better at the phone calls, answering the phones. They were rolling out, and then we're consulting them and help coaching their people to get better at the phones. And so it's just turned into this whole other business.
That's
just from
amazing.
the podcast.
That's
just from
so
content.
Cool. That's awesome. That's so cool to hear.
So it's just the power of the content of just putting your stuff out there and getting it out there, and you have no idea who's going to see it.
What's going to happen to it, right?
The reason why Kevin saw my stuff is because I was just putting it out there. And then he was like, hey, you had my friend on, and I saw the way you interviewed her, and I'd love to come on because I'm just trying to get some content out there, and I like how you just let her be her,
Yeah.
And then he came, and it's just the way it all unfolded.
Yeah, it's like we said before. It's just organic.
It's organic.
That's how it goes.
That's what it is.
One person connects with somebody else, and then it just goes.
And it's so beautiful because it's if you heard you're in my age range, so the 6 degrees of separation, Kevin Bacon, right? That's the way the world works.
It really is.
Like Noreen connects you over here, and but then me and Kristen, and you and Kristen have that in common, and it's just how there's like those degrees of separation between people. And my favorite part about business over the last 8.5 years is just the relationships.
Yeah,
and how people will ask me all the time, is it hard to get podcast guests? And I'm like, no, it's not. In fact, I've got to slow it down a lot of times. Right. For me, most people, it is really hard. And it's just the way it is. Like for me, so many people are connecting me to new, really amazing people, or I meet somebody that I'm like, oh, I got it. You got to tell your story. And like, it's just easy. I could have a few podcasts every day if I wanted to. But it's like when you're doing that and you're having fun with it, I think that will just happen.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like a job anymore.
It doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah, it's just you're just again.
What's
just
the job about this? I'm getting to know your story. I'm being inspired. I'm like,
it's just a conversation.
Yep,
I love it. I think that's great that like you're spreading that far and so many people are listening. It's amazing.
I got a really cool message from somebody last week that I don't know who he is, some random guy that listens. He said he looks forward to every Monday listening to my podcast, which is really awesome. But I had a guest on that he wanted to let me know that he reached out to her and he did business with her. She does payment processing for small businesses. And he's like, I just wanted to let you know that you're for the first time ever, a podcast host had a podcast guest that actually does what they say they're going to do. And you've got like the people that you have on, they're actually real people. Like they're telling real stories. They're real representations of himself. And he's like, before I even became a client, Christy was like going above and beyond. And she was just proving to me that everything that she said on your show is at 100% true about her. And I'm like, that's awesome. I mean, that's so cool. Like I got to send that out to her and be like, this is a shout out for you.
That's like, great.
To have something on where you can have just real people and people can connect to that is amazing.
Yeah. I was just honored when Noreen made that setup. And like I said, I started looking into you and looking at your podcast, and I was like, oh man, like this is legit. This is really cool. Like I'm honored to be on here. I'm honored to be able to come and tell my story. And
so you got to give a plug for your podcast too. Like this.
Oh yeah, this has nothing to do with this.
No, but this is good stuff. And I'm going to listen to it.
You may enjoy it though. Yeah. So we're getting back to it now slowly because Troy, the main guy, he just had a big surgery. He has stomach cancer, and so we just had surgery 7 weeks ago, and he's still iffy. So we've had one show in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
We usually do it Wednesday nights on Twitch, live on Twitch. We try to stream onto Facebook, but it usually screws up. We can't figure it out. I'm not tech savvy at all. So
yeah.
If you got any advice, let me know. But it's called Podcasturbate.
That's awesome.
So I figured you would enjoy it.
I'm intrigued already.
But it's me and Troy. I've known Troy for like 20 years, and our buddy Woody, we've known for 20 some years. And we just kind of find ridiculous news stories and just talk about them and make fun of them and make fun of each other. And it's just a comedy podcast. And it's, again, there's, like you said, with the little clips, there's some great little clips on there. And you just never know what's going to be said. And Troy and I we're pretty funny. As the shirt says, both of us have been through a lot. So what doesn't kill us makes us fucking hilarious. And it's true for us both. I love how it keeps going back to that. I love it. Crystal's going to love it too. Like, I can't
She's
wait.
going to love it.
I can't wait.
Shout out to Crystal.
Yeah, big shout out to Crystal.
Where's Crystal at?
I messaged her today too, Texas.
Okay.
I messaged her today. I said, first thing first, do you play Mario Kart? Because come play Mario Kart with us. Secondly, I'm doing a podcast today and I'm wearing your shirt. I didn't know we were going to talk about it this much, but we did.
Well, it's a cool shirt on top of it, but then
shirt.
Like the slogan, that's amazing.
That's a great shirt. And that's what happened once we did our podcast. Like I said, I have merch, and so we traded merch, and it's been cool.
Adam, this has been so awesome.
It has. I agree.
I'm so glad you came down. I'm so glad Noreen connected us.
Yeah,
and we were
me
able to
too.
Sit down and have this conversation.
Definitely. It's been great.
Thanks a lot, man. Well, I appreciate you coming down, and I'm excited to get this out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I can share it out and get you out there, and I'll start telling all my people, hey, listen to this guy.
500%.
See where it goes. Now you can be in the MS community. You know?
That's absolutely it. Yeah.
You know, now you're in that community because I'm going to share that out, and they're like, oh man, this guy supports the MS community. Oh, what else does he do? And then there you go.
And that's what I love. So like podcasting, I was trying to grow a business and like trying to brand myself, and people didn't know my stories. And I'm not the guy I'm going to go out and tell everybody my stories while we're talking. I want to know more about you. We're going to talk and that kind of thing. So I started creating this content out there, and it's just interesting the doors that open as you go through that. Again, just the connections and the people that you come across, and it gives me a vehicle to do this too. Like when Noreen comes across somebody really awesome with a really story, she thinks of me. Yeah. And like, how cool is that? You know? But it was like, as I'm growing this business, there was a couple things. One, I didn't love doing content and videos by myself, like sitting in my house, like for trying to record videos, hoping that I'm talking about something. In the meantime, like this is awesome. Like we're talking back and forth. We're like getting back and forth into our stories and our conversation. It's just easy. It's authentic. As opposed to I'm going to plan this topic today and now I'm going to talk to the video. But like what I noticed is that most people I was talking to, they didn't tell their stories to anybody either. And no matter how big they were, or how much people knew them or their brand or their business, people didn't know these intimate stories that I think are the badass stories. These are the stories that like if people knew about you, they'd be like, ooh, I want to do business with that person,
Yeah,
right?
they know a lot more. Yeah.
I had this guy on. He does a company called Atlas Landscaping,
Okay.
and his name's Sam Gamble. And people think that he's like the number one. I asked him when you come on the show, like, what do you want to talk about? He's like, well, a lot of people think that I just was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, that I was just born rich because we got here. And he was like, people don't know. He was like, I was living on my own at 16. He was like, I grew up with a single dad. We were super poor. He was like, we were super poor growing up. Like he's like when people thought I made it, he was like, I was in my parking lot crying because I couldn't make payroll. He was like when people thought I made it, he was like, I took my leadership team to a convention. He was like, and they complained about the first hotel because it was like moldy and stuff. And so I went to another hotel, and we went to this hotel, and our credit card was declined.
Oh, jeez.
It was like, when people thought like all
that
this stuff, and he's telling these stories, and there are people that were responding in the comments on the clip like, you're a gangster. Like, oh my God, I'm so glad I work for you. Like, I thought you were cool before, but now you're a badass.
Like, what he actually came from.
Yeah.
Instead of, people have their misconceptions of people, and you never know if it's true or not.
And guess what? If you don't tell the story,
nobody will. Then they're just going to believe it.
Stories.
Yeah.
People hear the rumors, they hear pieces, and they fill it all in. Versus when you get to narrate the story,
right?
It becomes the story.
Yeah.
It is the story.
It is the story. It's the actual truth.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's the beauty of this content and these conversations is you get to come out and tell your story and your narrative, And
yeah.
People get to hear it in a authentic conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this has been great. It really has been. I appreciate you having me on and
my pleasure.
Just taking what Noreen said and being like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I trust you, Noreen.
Thank you, Noreen, for that.
My pleasure. Well, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
It's been great.
Oh, wait a minute. Before you hit on record.
Uh-oh, there's more.
There's more.
Oh, give him a shout out.
Hold on. All right. You gotta switch the camera over to 3 though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Hey, this is I had to catch this. I don't know if anybody noticed. This is the first time, and it was really weird to be honest with you. It's been the first time since last year that I've been sitting here pushing the buttons while going through the podcast. And so I've got John here. John Anger in the studio. You might recognize the last name because I've had his parents on, Mike and Kara. Kara's been on twice. Mike and Kara are on together last year at some point. And so this is super exciting. Turning a corner here in the studio. We've had John here working all day, doing some editing, and today he got to do the flipping and doing the broad producing of the podcast. And I didn't have to push any buttons. I just got to talk and have a conversation and hear Adam's awesome story. So thanks, John, and shout out to you.
Good job.
Thanks for paying me.
Yep, you're welcome.
I know. The first thing I said to him when he said it was the first day, I told him not to screw it up. Well done.
Awesome, guys. Well, have a great day.
So I finally realized that I could ride a bike again 3 years ago. I didn't know if that's something that I could ever do because my balance is so bad. And I had a bad day. I was at the gym. I had a shitty day. The girl I was talking to kind of like dumped me or whatever. And I got home and was just in a crap mood. And I saw my dad's bike and I just went and grabbed it and was like, I'm just going to see how this works, see if this works or not. And I just got on it and just started riding. And then I made it to the cul-de-sac and back. And by the time I got back, my parents were in the driveway watching me. And like that was the time in my head when I was like, finally, holy shit, I'm riding a bike. Something I never thought I would do ever again. Right. So I've been riding as much as I can. I went out the next week and bought my own bike. But this past week, I rode 5 days this week. Every single day was a new personal best for me, which was just incredible. So Monday, I did the longest ride I've done this season, over 7 miles, which is impressive for me anyway. So the longest I've ever done is 10, and that was last year. But obviously I had to take the whole winter off because you can't ride your bike in Michigan. Yeah. So I rode 7 miles, and I was super proud of myself. Next day, I was like, all right, I'm going to go out, and I'm going to try to do like a speed power, try to really push my legs. So I go out and I rode 4 miles, and it was the fastest 3 to 5 mile ride I've ever done. So I knocked that off the list. Next day I go out, Wednesday I go out, and I ride over 8 miles. So I surpassed my longest already. So then I took Thursday off. I was like, all right, I'll get back to it on Friday. I go on Friday and I ride 5 miles, and it's the fastest I've ever ridden of all time. Of any rides I've done in the last 3 years, this was the fastest. And I was like, man, that's cool. So I took Saturday off, and then I go out on Sunday. And it was kind of hot. I don't do well in the heat. So I was like, man, I want to get this done as fast as I can. So that was what I was thinking. So I was like, I'm going to do 4 miles, and I'm really going to push it for 3 miles. So I did. So for those 3 miles, I averaged 5-minute miles.
Wow.
And I timed one. I remember specifically looking down and seeing where my mileage was on my Runkeeper app. And I was at 1.32 miles. And I was like, all right, 1.32 miles. And this is the time I'm at. Go. So I went. And that mile I did in 4 minutes and 28 seconds. And so every single day I've had a new milestone. And it's just, I'm just amazed by it.
That's
and
amazing.
I rode 29 miles this week, I think. So it's just.
And are you talk about like playing sports and stuff like that? Are you a pretty competitive guy?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're like competing with yourself and finding ways to,
I always compete with myself. And I feel like what I'm trying to do, and it's what I'm always do, is I'm always trying to see what works best for me, how I can be better, how I can, improve myself and get better. And what I'm toying with now, why I do the distance and then do the speed, is obviously that's a good way to train. But for me, is trying to figure out what works best for me. And what I figured out is it's not about how much power I put into it. I think I only have so many pedals in me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. So speed is the way to go.
Mm.
And looking back on it, when I rode that 8 miles, at 5 miles, I could have been done. It was one of those where like my legs were done and I just gutted it out for the last 3 miles. But when I did my 5 miles fast, I could have done more. So because I didn't pedal as much. So I'm like, okay, I think it all comes down to how many pedals I have. So now I guess I got to just keep going as fast as I can and get it over with because I only have so many.
That is phenomenal. Like I'm like, listening to you say this, I'm like, that's like a book in itself.
Yeah. It's just, I'm always trying to figure this stuff out and figure out what works best for me. And apparently that works. And now I might be able to get a trike because I have somebody in the community that's giving a trike away, and I put threw my hat in the ring, was like, I would love to have a trike. And it's one of those where it has the I don't know what it's actually called, but it's a one pedal behind, or one wheel behind you and 2 in front.
Oh.
And then it's like kind of a boom that has your pedals on it. So
yeah.
It's that way. And it's recumbent. And I was like, you know what? Like I could ride in the morning, and then later I could ride that at night. And I could get more miles in, or in the middle of the day, because I can't ride when it's super hot, and it's going to be gross.
This week is
all
horrible.
week. It's going to be terrible all week. So if I want to ride, it's going to have to be at like super early in the morning, and I don't do super early in the morning. Yep. So I might not just end up riding, which is going to suck, but I just can't do it because it would kill me.
Yeah,
But if I had this thing, like hopefully, fingers crossed, I actually win this thing, I could do that because I can be hot and out there, which is still going to suck for me, but I don't have to worry about my balance. So I can still get the miles in and still
awesome.
work. And ideally, like I said, I would love to be able to do some in the morning and then go out in the afternoon and just keep my legs as busy as I can. Because it takes, after I get done, whew, boy, that's another part about one of these rides I did. My 7-mile ride, my dismounts are the hardest for me. So I usually do it on a tailgate of a truck, or I have a little table in my garage that's about the same height, because I just kind of have to get up to it and then flop over on it. That's just what I have to do. I got up to it after the 7 miles, and I was supposed to flop to the left, but I ended up flopping to the right and was just laying on the concrete for 20 minutes. And that was one of the posts I put, though. Like I took a picture of myself laying on concrete and was like, well, my dismount sucked, but on the bright side, this concrete feels amazing because it's cold. It's so cold. And I was like, that's the perspective you got to take on it. It's like, yeah, it sucked. I fell down, but it's nice and cool.
Thank God I fell down to the cool cement.
And then like the next day after I did, I think it was I think it was on Friday after I did my fastest one, my 5-mile fastest. I like on purpose, my dismount wasn't great, but I survived it. I didn't fall down, but I like on purpose laid on the concrete to cool myself off and took a picture of it. I was like, I did this on purpose this time. Like I did not fall. The dismount sucked, but I didn't fall, but this is on purpose. You know?
Because when you fell, you learned that it actually wasn't that bad.
It felt like my back, I tweaked my back a little bit and it was a little sore, but still I was like, man, this feels great. Like I'm going to do this more.
That is phenomenal. Yeah. I'm so glad we busted back into that.
I know. We needed the bike story.
Like, I feel like we did miss so much.
We missed the riding part.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, I'm hoping I can get more. Like the goal for me is to actually be able to do like a bike MS. And bike MS is, I think they have like 70 miles, which no.
Yeah.
50 miles, no. Well, there's a 30. And I might be able to get to that. If I keep doing as much as I'm doing and with the addition of the cyanic neural sleeves, and I just bought magnetic pedals. So my feet stay on. I don't have to worry about them flopping off anymore. That combination, I think I can maybe get there. Like I said, I pay attention to everything. I try to get the best that I can for everything. And these two combinations have been great. And if I get that trike, maybe I could do it on a trike. You never know. But that's my goal. So I don't think I'll make it for this year. It's in September in Frankenmuth. I don't think I'll make that. Maybe next year. But I know there are some other races like that are like in the 14, 15 mile range. I think I could do that. And I would be so proud of myself if I could actually do it. Like I'd be ecstatic. I don't care what place I finish in, as long as I finish.
How much do you think of like the results and like the life that you're living has to do with the way that you think?
Oh, I think that's the reason. It really is. I mentioned it earlier, but then I think I got sidetracked because I talked about how physical I am and how I preach physicality. But really, I could not do all the physical stuff that I do if my mind was not right. Because I had to get my mind right first. I could not have done any of this if I didn't think I could. Or if I thought I was going to fail, which I did stuff and did fail. But that was what it was. That's what taught me that, okay, I can't do this. But how can I work around it? What's another way I can do this? How can I find a way to do this? Mindset is 100% the key. You need to have the right mindset. You need to believe that you can do something and go out and work at it. Just because you think it, and that's one thing that I get raked over the coals for some people. It's like, oh, this is bullshit that you just say if you think it, you can do it. That's first off, that's not what I say. But yes, if you think it, you can. If you think the opposite is true. That part is not true. If you think it, you can do it. That part's not true. But the opposite is. If you don't think you can, you can't.
Yep.
That part's true.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
I love the line, if you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.
Yep. Henry Ford.
It really comes down to that. And like I kind of embodied that statement where like, okay, I think I can. I might fail, but I'll find a way. But I never think I can't. And I hate when people tell me, oh, well, mindset doesn't matter. You can't just think something's going to happen and you do it. I'm like, well, that's not true. I don't say that. I don't think that. I think that way, but then I actually go out and do something about it. I try. And that's all it is. I try. And then I keep trying. But if I thot I couldn't do it, I wouldn't do it.
You absolutely wouldn't do it.
There'd be no way I could do it. So yes, mindset is the key.
I love it. And it makes me think of that because, it's, you had talked about all the blessings of the things that have come into your life because of MS or how your life has changed because of MS. And there's so many things that have changed about you. And there's a phrase that's like, you either are who you are because of your parents or you are because you are who you are because of your parents. And not to tie it to parents, but it's like the circumstances in life, like if you have a bad childhood and you go out and you become a jerk of a person or a bad person and you to be the same dad that you had that was a jerk of a dad and stuff like that. And you say, because I was raised this way. Or if you go out because you had a bad childhood and you go and help other people and you raise your kids the right way. Because you don't want
other people to go through that.
And I do this because I was raised this way.
Right.
It's like that's the blame no matter which route you take.
It's the same answer, but it's however you take it.
But you get to choose which one you're going to be.
Correct. 100%.
Because it'd be easy. You talked about like it'd be easy to do drugs and drink
it would have been
waste
very
away
easy. It would have been very easy to not be here right now. Like, that's how bad it was. But here I am. I made the choice. And I say that, usually I say I didn't have a choice, because to me, I don't. Like, in my mind, that is not a choice. That is not an option for me. But it really is. It really is a choice. Like, I made that choice to live. I made that choice to not drink. I made that choice to not do drugs. I made that choice to take the hard truths and look at myself in the mirror and really be like, you are a shell of who you used to be. You are never going to be the same person you were before. Now what? And that's what I had to look at myself and say, now what? And now, 6 years later, this is what? This is me walking, riding, being a public speaker, doing podcasts, this is who I am now, because I made that decision 6 years ago.
I'm so glad we kept going, because that's the mic drop moment right there. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
My pleasure.